What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're at your place for having unfiltered conversations where we expand your horizons and your opportunities to change what it is that's no longer working in your life. I'm Christopher Rausch, your No Excuses coach. I'm joined by the awesome
Scott Goyette. I'm here with you, Christopher Rausch. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, Scott Goyette? It's been a minute.
Yeah. Out there saving lives, changing the world, causing trouble, doing the things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot better than in 2020, right?
It's good, man. I can't complain at all. I feel like I'm just moving around nonstop in very productive ways. And you hit a wall here and there, but it's all part of the process. It's good.
Yep. Yeah, that's a part of life. I mean, so many times people want things to be easy, and when you think about things being easy, like what's the fun in that? I mean, it's fun for it to be, but that's the challenge that helps us rise above and helps us change and become, different people than we were yesterday.
Yeah, I actually had a funny discussion. I was sitting with this guy who's in amazing shape. He's probably 50 years old. He's in incredible shape. Looks like a bodybuilder, just perfectly ripped. And I'm more of the athlete. He's more of the strength guy. But we both were sitting there, and I go, Would you want to be 20 again? And he goes, yeah, but it's easy. He goes, it's easy to be great when you're 20. I'm like, right? And he goes, isn't it fun now? I'm like, dude, I always say that. I'm like, there's something about figuring out a way to play basketball with 20-year-olds or be your strongest self and lean, at 50 like he is. It's like, I actually enjoy the process of saying, can I do this today because my knee? Can I do this today because my ankle? And then when I'm successful, I'm like, that was really fun because it was challenging. And It forces me to find a way instead of being spoon-fed. And I mean, I think that succinctly explains everything with leadership. It's like, I don't want it easy. Easy's easy. We're here to be challenged. We're here to be creative. And you got to be creative when stuff's hurting, and you got to figure out a way. So
I know. I love that. And I think that's where I go for the Goggins, the David Goggins types of people it's like really thinking like, sitting there thinking, oh, I'm in pain. We write ourselves out of the story before we even give ourselves a chance. And so I think what he says, I mean, he goes to an unnatural degree, I think, working through the pain, but he's also like, the pain's going to be there. So why not just continue to move through that? Because the rest of my body can get stronger. I can get stronger and more resilient. The pain's going to be there in my foot or whatever it's going to be. And so I like the fact that, we have to dig into that pain. You have to sit there, especially as you get older. It doesn't get any easier. I talk to people all the time that are 20 years older than me, 30 years older than me at the gym. And they're like, Chris, it's gotten harder for me because now it's not for the vanity. Now I know I need to come in here and work out. And so thinking about coming in here 5-6 days a week when I just want to lay around and do nothing, he goes, two of them have told me that the importance of it is getting in here and getting that burn and still feeling alive and taking that responsibility and that ownership for oneself. And that's one of the things that we've been talking about through the entire series of this show. And this leadership series, this component of it is each one of our guests has really talked about the fact that it's got to be internally driven. It's got to be wired as a desire from this point in outward, whether you want to be a leader of yourself or be a leader of people and organizations. And I think all of our guests did a great job in illustrating that within their own specific industry. I mean, we had race car drivers, we have business executives, we had dentists. No, do we have dentists this time? That was last time.
No, that was John. Yeah, Pablo. Yeah. Orthodontist. Close enough. We straighten in.
They all start to blend together.
There you go. Yeah, no, I mean, it's all a reality. One of the things that's interesting is I think one of the things that we've got to figure out is you mentioned David Goggins. There's no question that, to you or me, he might seem extreme, or maybe some people see me and see me as extreme. You got to figure out what your why is and why you're doing it. Like for me, at this point, the reason I want to play basketball and stay in great shape is I want longevity. And this is a fun, in the moment pathway to make that happen. So the day I die, I'm going to have a heart attack and just disappear from this planet because there's going to be no chronic illness or something. And it's all possible. I mean, it could be. But I'm going to do everything I can in my power to avoid that by really embracing the moment and having fun. So for me, my peak is I want to be the best version of myself daily without being insanely over the top competitive in competitions in here so that I can really enjoy it. Because to me, my wife likes to go out dancing and that's her little bliss and that's going to keep her active and keep her, mobile and the whole thing. And for me, it's basketball. So I don't need to be Michael Jordan at 52, but I really enjoy being Scott Goyette at 52. Yeah. And that's all I want to be. I don't need to be the best player ever. but I want to be somebody who's fun. And if I can teach a lesson on the court, hit a game winning shot, I feel great. Now, I think David Goggins is great. He's a guy who went from being overweight, feeling like nothing, to feeling like the top of the world. And if that's what makes him feel good, then let's celebrate that. But I want people to be cautious to think, we're not telling you to be David Goggins. We're telling you to find you and become that, so that you can enjoy that lie at every given moment. And that's a balance. And sometimes we got to look deep to find that. So.
No, I mean, that's so true. And I mean, that's why I talk about the fact that, he is an anomaly in some respects, but at the same time that it's that fight response, like to sit there and say, no, I'm not going to let this hold me back. Yeah. And I've seen so many people, my friends, who have gotten some sort of like a sore ankle. Oh, my knees are bad. They start using that excuse, like really bad. Oh, my knees are bad. Well, go get a fucking changed out, go do something, right? Oh, my knees are bad. Then they put on a bunch of weight, and then they're on a bunch of cholesterol medications. And then just the dominoes keep stacking up against them. Then they got diabetes now, they got heart disease now. Oh, Chris, I had my first heart attack, and they're like a couple years older than me. And they're like, it's amazing when you look back on your life and to think, all I had to really do was hydrate myself. All I had to really do was eat pretty good 6 or 7 days a week, 5, 6, 7 days a week, I eat pretty good, get some sunshine, hang around positive people, go out there and enjoy myself every once in a while, but not make that the norm. And you can live a long, healthy life. And I think when, people get to the end of their road and they realize like, oh, wow, I made it to 67 when I realistically could have made it to 80 or 97, that comes back on us. And that's why we always invite you guys that are listening and watching this, is that at any moment in time, you guys can go to the mirror and decide that you've had enough, that you are not going to tolerate the stuff that you've been tolerating in your life, because that someday that you keep talking about is either going to come or it isn't. And it's going to be really massively up to you guys whether or not you make that happen. And that, again, when we talk about the components of what we've been talking about in the series of shows, that leadership, that all takes that self-responsibility to stand up and say, listen, I'm not going to do this anymore. And here are my boundaries, and here are my values. And I think, Scott, a lot of the guys did a great job in really kind of solidifying that each one of them had their code of ethics, right?
Yeah, they had a way that they lived, and they had their principles by, which, they were guided, and they were very intentional. I think if you sit down with each and every one of them, whether it's Stewart or MG or, any of those people we spoke to, when you talk to those guys, like the way that I have, like in deep conversations, it becomes very apparent that they have a specific doctrine by which, like, here's how I live, here's my principles, here's my foundation, here's what I do. And they don't waver from it. Like I'm, it's funny, you're the no excuses coach, but I'm a no excuses guy. Like I don't preach it as much, but like today, right now, I have a broken rib. I've had trouble sleeping at night, and I just dislocated my toe, sticking out, like bent out. And my wife,
again, you did that before when you were out here in California.
I know. It's my big toe. And so what did I do? This was last night. So my toe's out of place. I got a broken rib, didn't sleep well. So what did I do today? I played basketball because I said I was going to play basketball. I didn't die. Did it hurt? Maybe kind of, I like it actually. I'm probably sadistic. I'm probably not the best example, but you know what? I have fallen in love. You know how we talk about every emotion is a good emotion. It's part of existence. We need to feel, we need to be sad. We need to be afraid. They're catalysts to bring us to that river, to that space of joy. Man, when I'm hurting, I love it because I know that it's a springboard to something else. And I used to think it was like some sadistic thing. I think it's the opposite. I think this is part of this existence. So I'm going to feel this with every bit of my body. And when I feel the really good stuff, I'm going to be like, man, that felt aggressive and harsh, and this feels nice. And it's almost like, I don't know, like race car driving or skiing. There's moments where it doesn't feel good. You're scared. I might hit a tree. I might do something. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, there's the finish line. I won the race. And it's just, I don't know. All of it's beautiful to me. And I beg people to start exploring what that could look like for you, because it's not all perfect. It's not all awesome, but it's all under my perception. I can sit here and perceive it as this is part of this beautiful existence, and it's all temporary. So whether it's a blissful moment or a scary moment, it's all just part of the game. Sit in it, be present and enjoy it. And maybe enjoy is not experience it. Maybe that's a better
experience.
word.
Yeah, truly taste and savor that moment, because you
Yeah.
don't know if it's ever going to happen again. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I've heard
Amen.
of why we sign up to have this human experience, is to have the ability to sense, to touch, to feel, to smell, to taste, to have those experiences. Because in spiritual form, we don't have those opportunities. We can't touch, we can't have sensation, we can't have those kind of experiences. So we come here and we have these human experiences to kind of help us path along the path. That's the way I kind of see it. And I think, to your point, is absolutely right, is when we sit there and we look at the fact that we're alive. Like, when I was trying to think, I can't remember if I ever told you this, but when I was trying to repurpose my belief about my pain in my back, and trying to think, okay, how can I appreciate this pain that I'm going through? Trying to find gratitude for it. And then I realized, I remember the story about a guy that I used to hang out with, party with in the 80s. He had a terrible accident. He was drunk. He had a drinking problem, and he got messed up one night and tripped over his daughter's wood writing table or whatever in his apartment. And so the table broke, and the wood went through and severed his spinal cord. He laid there for, like, I guess about 14 hours until the gardener heard him screaming and put a ladder up to his second story apartment and called 911 and got him picked up. He was paralyzed from the shoulders down. And I was just like thinking, when I was walking and trying to repurpose my pain, I'm like, how can I be grateful for my pain? How can I be grateful for my pain? I thought, fuck, Mike would kill to have this pain, because he can't feel anything from his shoulders down. So he would kill to have this pain right now, because it would tell him that he's alive, that he can move his joints. And so I immediately started focusing on the fact, yeah, it may be painful, but I can still fucking walk. How many guys came back from active duty and they can no longer walk? Their legs got blown off or whatever it might be. And I started finding gratitude, because I have pain. That means I have mobility in my body, and I can still keep moving. Even, and it's up to me how I view that pain. Is it bad or is it good? And that's where I decided, like, oh, maybe perhaps when I'm in pain, that forces me to get off my ass and make the rest of my body stronger, so it can help compensate for a little bit of what that pain is going through. So I found psychologically how to help myself and appreciate that. It's always perfect, but whenever I get pissed off at it, I'm like, I'm glad I'm not fucking paralyzed.
Yeah. And I think the massive lesson there that you're saying too is stop and be present in that pain. That, like, if it's physical pain, if it's mental pain, what's up, Cleo? If it's fear, sadness, anger, shame, guilt, anything you're feeling that's causing you mental, spiritual, or physical pain, remember what we've talked about so often. These are guardrails. So whatever you're feeling is saying that something is off kilter, whether it's something I'm doing in my body, something I've done in the past. It's trying to redirect us into the flow of the river. Now, we're human beings. We might not do it in this lifetime. We might not re-angle ourselves and get back into the flow. But if we know that flow is available, if we know that opportunity to really be in the river is available, at least we know it's possible. And so I think we still need to give ourselves grace. Maybe I'm afraid a lot. Maybe I'm sad a lot. Maybe I'm angry a lot. Start identifying with the things that, like, hey, this is something that's holding me back or not making me feel like I want to feel. And then say, what do I have to do to either transmute this, redirect? And again, like with back pain for you, or I'm always breaking something to myself. It always works itself out. Flipping snowmobile, snapping an ankle. I mean, there's something always, but
right.
But I don't know. I like it because it really makes me feel, and it redirects me. And I'm going to be nuts till the day I leave this planet, because I truly love the human experience. And that might be either psychotic or perfect. I'm not sure, but I'm going to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I think that's a great question. So I have for you and people that are thinking about this is, how can we redirect our perspective about pain, whether it's emotional pain, physical pain, spiritual pain? How can we get people to think about it in different terms? Because we're taught as kids, pain's bad. Oh, come here. You poor thing. So we're kind of taught to avoid pain. Like, oh, you should never get hurt. Don't hurt yourself. Like as kids, we've heard that, like, oh, don't go out and hurt yourself. It's not. And I found it was a psychological study that was done. It wasn't the fact that they didn't want them to hurt themselves. They're basically saying, don't get hurt because I don't know how I'm going to deal with it if it happens. Amen. And so it's like that bigger psychological component of that. It's like, yeah, I don't want you to get hurt, but I don't want to have to deal with it if somebody comes and tells me you got hit by a car. And so that's kind of the bigger thing. How do you think that we can get people to disassociate from that pain and being worried about it, and just still go through it and understand the pain's part of the process?
We had a discussion. I took a few of my students to Whole Foods Roof last night, and we had because they have the rooftop store here in Austin, the flagship store. So this beautiful roof, and we sat up there. We had some intellectual discussions about just life. And one of the things we were talking about is the perception of what it means to be a man. So it was interesting because one of the women, she said, when I used to get hurt, I would fall down and I would cry, and people would stand around me and go, "You're going to be okay. You're strong. It's okay. I know it hurts. Just let the tears out. When we get you a Band-Aid," whatever it was. There was a support system that the process of hurting was very natural and almost celebrated as an experience. Like everybody brought the emotion, like oh, I can see how this hurts you. I'm so sorry for that, but you're going to be okay. But not like, whatever. A boy gets hurt. What's happening? Shut the hell up and suck it up. Get back out there in the field. So so to start to answer the question, I think what we got to do first and foremost is figure out how we're showing up as part of the equation. Are we a dad saying, be tough like me? And listen, if I had a boy, thank God I don't have a boy. Because if I had a boy, I would have pushed him down the stairs and said, suck it up and be tough, because that's what's in my brain. I think that's what makes you tough. And so having a girl has taught me these lessons. So I would back up and say this: how are you showing up? What role you're playing in the equation? And I think people really need to think about this. What are the tools that you need to use to redirect? So the question you're asking, first and foremost, you say it all the time. If I'm facing in this direction, I'm afraid, maybe just turn. And that might be metaphorical or physical, but maybe just look in a different direction. So if I'm sitting here doing the same old, and I'm afraid, maybe I just need to turn and do the other thing. And I'm like, why was I doing that? And it might be that simple, whether it's, literal or metaphorical, but I want people to start thinking about this. The feelings that we're having, the emotion, whether it's physical pain that's manifested or it's fear, sadness, anger, all of these things are a beautiful opportunity in life to redirect us to what we ultimately want, joy, and just to really embrace the moments and be present. But I think the people who are really living what I've seen, the people who are living the most, they seem to be very cognizant of the fact that joy feels so much better if I'm freaking horrified sometime. If I feel a little anger, why is the world so messed up? Wait, I was part of the healing process. There's a sadistic, strange beauty in feeling and touching and knowing that I'm here as a spirit, but driving this vehicle. It's truly exciting if we allow it to be. Now, that doesn't mean all the shit's not real. That doesn't mean I shouldn't be afraid of this. That doesn't mean I shouldn't be sad. Just what are you going to do with it? And what I would tell you, so the answer is, look at it slightly differently. Know that it's not permanent. Be present in the moment. Don't compartmentalize it. Little boy fall. Don't stuff it in here and pack it down here and it becomes dis-ease and then I have cancer later. I have something going on. Feel the shit out of that. I'm sad. I hate this moment. I don't like this moment. I'm upset. Let that shit out and then come back to that present moment. And I'm telling you, there's so much power in that. And we've done ourselves a disservice not processing those emotions, those feelings, and I think that's it, Chris. I mean, what do you think? Like, what would you add to that? Because there's more to it. We could talk for 5 hours on this.
Oh, yeah. No, I love what you said, because I mean, it really is. And you said, I think you said the word in there a few times, attach. And you always talk about the attachment. What are we meaning by that attachment? How does that attachment to us and our identity like either propel us or hold us back? And I think about that attachment to victimhood. We talk about all the time here on the show. Like, oh, I'm attached to my victimhood because why? Oh, Chris, you poor thing. You grew up in an abused household. You were homeless. Oh, you poor thing. Man, you're so inspiring. We could be around those people all day, or you could be around like people like you. We'll sit there and say, okay, that's great, Chris. But what are you going to do with it? How are you going to be able to make this help serve other people? What are you going to do to continue through it in spite of it happening? What was the reason that happened? And how are you going to make that make somebody a better person or make the world a better place from that? We need people in our life to challenge us. We need to go through those experiences. And I think it goes back to that attachment to our identity. And we get that opportunity every single day to say, you know what? I'm tired of being who I've been. I'm tired of being comfortably miserable. I'm tired of being complacent. Because when we ask ourselves that question, when did it become acceptable to be complacent? When did it become acceptable to be mediocre? When did it be acceptable to become lazy? And we tell ourselves, you know what? It's not acceptable. And starting tomorrow, starting today, starting right now, I'm no longer going to let myself self-sabotage in favor of staying comfortable rather than living and purposefully experiencing life. and experiencing the cuts and the scrapes and saying, holy shit, I fucking just did something. Whether it's metaphorical or it's real, I'm out there living life. Because we're not getting any younger. There's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. This is the youngest you're ever going to be again. So if you think you're not going to do something, you're going to wait for something to happen, go get your fucking knees replaced. Go get it wherever you got to get replaced. Go have another 20 years of amazing life. Go get them replaced again, whatever it might be. Don't live in your excuses, because when you live in your excuses, you live in a self-suffering pity party that's your choice. And there is absolutely no reason why you should continue to do that to yourself. You cannot blame your parents. You can't blame your stepfather. You can't blame anybody, because it may have happened once or it may have happened twice, whatever it happened 20 or 30 years ago. But you, my friends, are the ones that are continuing to choose to say, okay, this is my script. And so I love what you're saying, Scott, because the fact is, at any moment in time, we all can sit there and step back from all the minutia and say, is that me, or is that something that I'm observing? And you talk about this so awesomely, Scott. Is this a part of me, or is this something that I'm observing? Am I choosing to take this along with me? And then I ask people to ask the question, like, what would it feel like if you no longer carried that anger and that animosity and that resentment with you? What would it feel like if you didn't carry that shit with you everywhere you went? How much different do you think your personal relationships would be? How much do you think your conversations with yourself would be? And I see people, their physiology changes, like, oh my God, it'd be so amazing. But God, that sounds like so much work. And I'm like, yes, I'm not going to tell you it's easy, but I'm going to tell you it's possible. And I'm going to tell you that it's worth it, because I've gone through it. Has it been easy? No, I've had to find ways to find, appreciation and forgiveness and empathy for my mom. And now I can do it, and I can find it for a lot of other people as well too. So I'm not walking around all pissed off and angry. I'm like, I wonder what that person experienced. It's usually one of my first experiences to say, what gave them that particular belief, or that set of beliefs, or those set of values, or whatever it might be. So yeah, I love that, Scott, because we have that choice to sit there and say, I'm either going to continue being miserable and bitch, piss, and moan about it, or I'm going to sit there and say, hey, today, that 1% rule every single day is going to help me become that person that I deserve to be and that I really should be.
I love it. I love it. And go to what you're saying with, one thing I want to tap into that you mentioned, you were saying, like, you're in that victim space and you're saying, oh, poor me, or whatever. I want to address the people who are sitting there right now and got triggered by that, because we've all sat there at some point where somebody said, well, you don't understand my situation.
Oh yeah.
So let's sit there and let's honor that for a minute. Like, give yourself some grace. So if you were somebody that felt somewhat triggered when, Chris is saying, stop being the victim, whatever, and it kind of made you feel kind of nauseous, like, well, you don't understand, my story is different than yours, because we all do that. Watch this. If we've got a beautiful, perfect circle right now, okay, the day we're born, that circle should be, we're painting our beautiful picture, our canvas, our story. What happens is some of us get aggressive overlap from other people's story. So your identity is pushed in by a parent figure or a teacher or somebody that really infiltrated your story. So imagine you're writing a story or you're creating artwork. When it gets distorted, you're like, what the hell am I even doing? Mm-hmm. So uncle's really mean to you. Teacher tells you you're stupid. Coach hurts your feelings. Somebody physically or mentally or sexually or whatever hurts you. And you feel like, what am I doing on this planet? And it sucks. End of story. You are correct. So here we are with a distorted story. How do we erase or remove the overlapping stories so I can start in this present moment? A beautiful thing would be, imagine if we could just wipe out our memory and then we start from scratch. We wouldn't have all these attachments. But we started the show with this beautiful comment, a challenge. And I know you're sitting here saying, but I'm not you, I'm not Chris, I can't do this, you don't understand. If you could have seen me in my worst moment, or Chris and I, my worst moment, I would be going, you don't understand, my life sucks. No, we've been there.
It's never going to happen.
Here's the difference, okay? You're seeing yourself here and you're saying the distance between me and what I want to be is so far. Check that. It's not distance. It's removal. You're already there. So here's this beautiful picture that got distorted by overlap from other stories. Forgive this person. Remove the shit that got in your picture. Recognize I'm going to be empathetic to that person because they didn't know any better. And you start disconnecting the energy, and now your canvas is blank again. So you're no longer a victim. Now you're beginning, but you still feel a little horrified because, like, I'm so far behind. No, you're already there. You just haven't painted your picture yet. So start like Bob Ross. I'm going to draw this little tree and make this one pretty. Holy shit, I'm going to put a mountain up there. I'm going to put a little There's this little duck. But what I'm telling you guys is, and this might sound batshit crazy, is you are far closer to the dream that you want than you could ever imagine. And all you need to do is step back into observer, look at that picture, realize where there's overlap in other people's stories, and take control, aka responsibility. The paintbrush is yours. Take it and start making that picture, because it's all you. I mean, it's all you. It's that simple, and it's that freaking insanely hard at the same time. And Chris and I will both say, I hear you, I get it, and we understand it. So if you ever have questions for us, take Chris's accountability coaching right now. I mean, he's going to go through this stuff. Let him help you remove some of those overlaps, because it's there for you. And tell them about that. Tell them about what you're doing with your accountability, because this is stuff that they can do. You're sitting in a victim space. Like, what can you do to help them with that?
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. Thanks, Scott. I mean, it really is about having that accountability and knowing that when we put our word to something, like we always put our word, like I tell you, Scott, I promise I'll take care of this. Generally, we keep our promises to other people, but how often do we actually keep them to ourselves? And so when you think about life, like if I kept my promises to myself, how much more would I have accomplished in 2023? So the accountability program, which is anybody can get into something like that, but my accountability program is like twice a month we meet. You get an accountability partner that you meet with every single week, and so on and so forth. So when you have somebody that you're checking in with and you put your word out on the line saying, hey, these are the 3 things I'm going to get done in the following week. And then you check in with somebody and you have somebody who's going to check in with you that isn't going to let you go, okay, yeah, it was okay. That they're going to say, why didn't you get it done? What were your obstacles? What are you going to do to overcome those obstacles? When you have those things in a play, then you're more likely to be accountable to do those things, because you don't want to lose face. And as you start doing those things and you keep your words, you realize, wow, it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Then you start taking on bigger challenges and you start going after more things, and you start realizing, hey, maybe the people I'm surrounding myself with are not the type of people that are going to help me get to that next level. They may help me stay at this level nice and comfortable and everything else, but I need other people to help me get to that next level. And then it starts becoming an exciting challenge and a journey to say, wow, I never thought I could do this. Now I'm doing all these things. What else might be next? And so I just encourage every single person out there listening to this, watching this, is like, have an accountability partner, have somebody in your life who will call you on your shit, who will get in your butt and say, hey, listen, here's some things that I'm seeing. Are you ready to hear some of the answers? I was just listening to one of the guys that's in my accountability program right now. He was talking about his experience with his accountability partner. And he goes, Chris, I hope you're okay with this, but I asked him these questions about some of the stuff that seemed incongruent with what he said he wanted to get done. I'm like, no, you should do that. You should point those things out and say, listen, pal, I know that you say that you want this, but here are some things that you might not be able to see because you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. Here's some other stuff. And I think that's so massively important, Scott, because we go in our own world. And I did this too. I'm raising both hands. Oh, I got it figured out. I don't want people to think that I'm weak. I'm going to figure this all out and I'm going to be successful anyway. But then when I realized, like, if I spend some money and I listen to people who've actually done the shit that I want to do and then follow what it is that they did, might I have a chance to be more successful doing what it is that they're doing that I'm envious about rather than doing it on my own? Of course. So we got to change those things. And I think it's just that it's about that. Again, I think it goes back to, when will I have had enough? And I've been asking people this question lately. It's like, when are you going to have had enough of your husband this and your kids that and your coworker this and your friend this? There's going to come a point where you're going to explode and you're going to lose your shit and you're going to have to finally change, because you can no longer do that. If you can proactively get to that spot now and develop that courage and that strength and that resiliency to stand up for yourself and have that boundary now, then what is life going to look like in 3 months or 6 months or 12 months from now? It's going to be pretty exciting, because now you're not going to tolerate some of the stuff you've been tolerating and start to lead your life.
100%. I'm doing a men's retreat next weekend. I just filled it up actually, so I'm good with that.
Congrats.
That's fun. I mean, I'm doing 5 people at a time. I'm just bringing a few people out to the cabin just to have a super intimate version. But I'm
seeing next spring.
You're coming. You'll get there. You'll be there. You'll be there sometime. But the title or the focus of this group is exactly what you're saying. Slightly different worded, but I think everybody would receive this concept well. So self-worth. When we have self-worth, I come up with some worthiness quotient for myself, like in my brain. My subconscious mind is saying, well, you're good, dude, but you're not that good. And it puts a limit. And it says, well, you're good at this, but you're not the best. So what we do is we're creating this ceiling, this self-worth ceiling. So when I'm showing you the picture, here's my picture. It has a line that there's a limit. what if I could remove that and my picture becomes infinite? Then those overlaps from other stories don't mean shit, because I'm just an infinite, developer of creation. So what we're doing this weekend is we're going to go in with zero actual intention. And so a lot of times we've gone into these things with intention, like, I want to heal this limiting belief. I want to remove this. I want to look at this. And what I find is that becomes an attachment too. So I'm going to take full credit and say, I haven't been doing it perfectly to date, but now what I'm going to do is remove that attachment. And what we're going to do is we're going to allow organically, we're just going to ask the universe, and we're going to do the procedures and do the processes and the breath work and all that. We're just going to let that limited worthiness become, I am infinite, I am divine, I am creator. We're going to lean into that and just open that up and see what we see. And right. I'm excited to see it, because I already know some of the things that will potentially happen. It's going to be really nice. But I invite people to start thinking like that. Whatever your level of self-worth is, even though you're saying, well, I'm smart. I mean, listen to the way I said it. Well, I'm smart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, does that mean I'm kind of smart? Like I'm good enough?
Right.
I'm not good enough. I'm more than enough. Yes, I'm everything. I'm not mm-hmm. good enough. I'm way better than that. But do I really believe that? Because you catch my tone. I'm in practice too. What we want to do is let that tumble down. Just rip that open. And that's why it's universe. It's part of you and I. It's you. It's like us. So I want to own that. I want to lean into that. And I think that's something for people to think about is, you're talking about what we would tolerate, whatever. First and foremost, remove that which is blocking us from just letting go of all of it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, like you do talk about it. I mean, it goes back to that flow state. And that's something that I've found more and more when I think about it, because we always want to be in control. We want to have our hands on everything. We want to figure everything out. We want perfection. We don't want to have it, feel like the imposter syndrome thing. So as long as I feel like I'm in control, as long as I know with certainty these things are going to get done, they're going to get done my way, then we feel like we have some influence on there. But when we think about surrendering, like, so what would it feel like to surrender that need to be in control? What would it feel like to surrender that need for perfection? And a lot of people sit there, oh my God, it would be so relaxing and so freeing. I'm like, then I'll ask people after that, like, when did you come up with some of your best ideas? When was that? Like, were you in a flow state? Like, oh yeah, I was in a flow state. Like, talk to me about that. What did that feel like? Oh, I just feel like everything was firing on all cylinders. I'm like, were you constricting anything? Were you like, no, I just felt good. I was just I'm like, okay, see, that's what we got to do. And to your point, Scott, about being in the river, so oftentimes we're hanging to that rock, like, oh my God, if I go down the river, what's going to happen? Yeah, you might hit some white rapids and some get fucking banged up on a rock. But as you're going through that, what are you doing? You're excited. You're like, oh my God, I'm doing this. I'm not sitting over there watching everybody else do it. I'm fucking doing it. And that's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, life is going by like that. My kid just turned 7. I'm going to be 55 next year. I mean, it's like boom, boom, boom. And you think about the average life expectancy is around 78. I think in Canada, it just went back a couple of years. It actually, life expectancy is dropping in some places. So when I think about that 78, and if I'm going to be 55, I mean, that's like 23 years, like 23 years or something like that. I mean, something like that, so when you think about it, that brings so much more leverage to the game, to make sure that every single day I'm choosing to live in it. I'm choosing to create it. I'm choosing to be adventurous through it and participate in it. Where so many other times we want to stay in that comfort zone. We want to stay in that area of predictability, when that's not truly living, that's existing. And so again, people have to take that leadership responsibility out of their own life and sit there and say, okay, irregardless of what other people told me I can and can't do, how about today I just decide for myself that even if I can't do it, or I don't think I can do it, then I'm going to give it the best effort I could possibly give for 6 months. And if at the end of that 6 months and I've given it everything that I've truly got and I'm not any better, then I can let that go and feel good about myself and not feel like I just let go because I was afraid to try and afraid to make that imperfect mistake. And I think for people listening and watching this, Scott, is one of the things that we can really tell people is when we think about all of our different guests, and we invite you guys to go back and listen to them. I put a list up here. I put a list up here. We had Guy Berlando, Leo Sherrard, Sid McNary, MG McCarrera, Tom Stuker, and Stuart White, all fabulous guests. When you think about it again, they also had something in common, which was vision. they could see in their mind's eye what it is that they were creating, what the end outcome is. And I think that's another one of the suggestions we can leave with you guys today as well, is like, have that vision for yourself. When you wake up in the morning, play a movie in your head of what you want to have happen that day. Play a movie of your life, of the biggest moment that's happening in your life, and see yourself and feel that, because your mind doesn't know any difference between real reality and perceived reality, because we've all had a bad dream. We woke up in the middle of the night going, oh my God, I just fell out of a tree. I was just running backwards in the snow. We felt it because our mind created that picture for us. And if we could do the same thing, when we do the same thing with our dreams, and that becomes part of our subconscious mind, and some of our actions start to support those things, ladies and gentlemen. But if you sit there and you still continue to hang on to that other stuff and you're afraid, guess what? That's only going to beget more fearness. And eventually your life is going to be over, and you're going to look back and you're going to regret what it is that you really didn't do. And so Scott and our whole point here is to come here every week and to find a creative way to be able to tell you something in such a way that you say, you know what, I'm not going to wait until I hit rock bottom. I'm going to do it today.
100%. And let's actually give them a tool. We were talking about it in the coaching group the other day. I think it'll be worthwhile. One of the things that I've been trying to figure out is better ways to explain how to break down patterns and attachment. And one of the things that we talk about, go love now. So imagine if everything at our core, at our baseline, like the organic frequency of the universe, is just called the love frequency. So when we're saying go love now, we go to that love frequency. We're collectively going, once I have this, and we're looking for all these externals. Once I get the right job, once I have the wife, once my kid grows up, once I have this, it's always, as soon as I do blank, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Those are frequencies we're chasing. So we're chasing a frequency of more, a frequency of lust, or frequency, whatever it is. If we stop the attachment to other frequencies, the default frequency is the creation frequency. It's the love frequency. It's the God frequency. It's the universe frequency. So to Chris's point, if I'm sitting here and I'm trying to create, some kind of joy or dream or, best version of self, the ultimate irony is, as I'm reaching, like I said, when I was talking earlier about the picture, I already have it. I just forgot. And
Right.
So in my effort to go here, there, if I took a conscious breath and truly, literally, metaphorically, physically, spiritually, whatever, detached from all of that, I would be in that default creative space, that place where I'm like, clear vision. Oh, this is what I want. Oh, this is how I make the dream work. And you get to that clarity. But here's the thing. I'm just going to show you what it looks like, because you might have been there before, and I'm going to offer you a way to potentially get back there. You ever like sitting there and you go, oh my God, this is what I was supposed to do. I would bet you this is what happened.
On a large scale or like a little scale, or both?
Either way, big scale, little scale, that moment where you go, ding, ding, ding. I would bet you anything, this is what happened. You were tired, you were hungry, so essentially you're kind of just in a moment going, oh.
Yep. Disconnected.
So you only have one thing to focus on. So you've minimized all the other attachments. I just want to go to bed. I just want to get a meal. So the minute you release that for 1 second, you're sitting in this place of bliss and connection, and you're like, who put me here? The thing is, the minute our mind starts going, we go attach. Once I finish this, once I do this. And we go so far away from the obvious reality of how we manifest from this beautiful love place, God place, source place. So here's the ultimate irony. Stop thinking, stop chasing, get out of here and into here. The minute you just take a break from all the shit that I need to do, I need.
Right.
Yank that thing from your vocabulary. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to go from I need to I have to I am. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I can't tell you, Chris, it's the funnest thing for me with coaching is the more I say it, the more I have to do it. And all I know is I feel like an alchemist and just like a manifesting machine. Like whenever I do something as of late, I just feel like, oh, that was easy. It just showed up. I mean,
why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Because you've had experiences like we all have.
Chris, you've seen me over the last 2 years, dude. You know me. I've had some horrific shit times where nothing was working. And you know why? Because I even though I was speaking, get into your heart, get out of your mind, I was deep in my mind. I was trying to be smart Scott, like analytical Scott.
Right.
Use the gifts that were actually the hindrances. And the minute I said, the gifts will be used when the connection to source has already been created, I'll use this once I've used this. So I'm taking the connection from here. And then I'm like, okay, now I'll use this to process. But I was leading from here. I was full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And not intentionally full of shit and lying to you. I was trying my best, and my best wasn't good enough yet. So when you say best, what's your best? I was hyperactively here. And once I truly went to the place I told everybody to go to, I was like, dude, this is everything you were talking about. Why weren't you doing it? And so I want to keep sharing that with people, because even when you know the pathway, even when you know the steps to take, even when you know the tools to bring, we're human beings. We're stubborn. We get in patterns. We think we're doing one thing. And then, to your point in the coaching group, until the other guy goes, yeah, you're saying that, dude, but you're full of shit. And then you're like, whoa. So all I can tell people is a coaching group, you know, somebody so they can help look at you so you can escalate the process, a deeper honesty with self, continuing to do the same things. When I take that back, continuing to do the deep analysis over and over, not the same things over and over. So keep looking at yourself again and again, deeper self-awareness. But it's easy and hard at the same time. You know, you and I could write down right now what we need to do this week to be the baddest ass human being. When we call each other on Friday, we're like, yeah, no, I totally would have, but Jackson and Kim was, 4 students had, wow.
Yep, that's why I do keep my list, and that's why at the end of the week, for the most part, I can look down and go, holy shit, I got quite a few things captured, and I'm like, then I can look at something and go, yeah, I've written that on my to-do list like 4 or 5 times, and I still haven't done it. So it's like, you know, you just got to be honest with yourself. But I think, you know, to your point is the fact that we have this opportunity in our life to be curious and to have a sense of adventure. And when we go back to our younger days, we've talked about the conditioning process here on the show, that 0 to 5 that helps us create the identity of who we are and what our worthiness levels are and what our self-confidence levels are and what our ability to go outside our comfort zone is going to be and how well it's going to be supported by our parents and our other caretakers. You know, it's pretty incredible how, you know, when we think about how we hang on to certain meanings in life, right? We talk about the meaning. What does that really truly have a meaning to? What we invite you guys out there to think about this as you're going into 2024 and you're planning new goals is ask yourself, what meaning have I given this particular belief? And is this working for me or working against me? And then be honest with yourself. And then the next question is to ask yourself, what is it about this belief that I can adjust in such a way that it will empower me versus disempower me? What is some way I can look at this particular experience in the past and realize that that was part of the experiences that I needed to have to become the person that I am today? And had I not gone through that experience, I would not have learned that lesson. I have not met my partner that I've had today. And so I think about this, Scott, and I want to get your opinion on this, is the fact that, you know, when I look back on my life, and I did this seriously not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I look back and I looked at, you know, we sit there and we think about life as in terms of intersections, right? Like, what's that? Remember that one thing? Remember, there's like 4 or 5 one things in our life that we thought, if I would have taken that job, if I would have gotten on that plane, I know people that would have been a part of 9/11. If I, you know, and I look back and I'm like, everything lined up right at the point where it was supposed to happen. I got laid off from my other job years and years and years ago. And then I went and got a job at Patty. And then I was there for 26 years. And so every single little thing, all the different experiences I had there helped me become a better coach, helped me in all these different things. So when I look at that, there is a sense of freedom. And it's not perfect, but there's a sense of freedom. And when I sit here today in these moments and I think about me, you know, like, oh, this should be done and that should be done in the book, I can sit there and I can understand and have comfort. Like, Chris, everything in your life up until this point has led you to the right spot at the right time. Is there any reason why this is not going to be the same situation now? And would you not enjoy the ride a lot more if you get to that, when you get to that spot and be able to think, fuck, before I would have been so worried and wondered when this happened, but now I've enjoyed the last 2 months or the last 2 years or whatever it might be. What are your thoughts on that? When we surrender that idea of what the expectations should be and to like realize that the happiness is now. It's in the simple little things, being able to take a shit on your own, which I have a story about that. Like, really being, if you could be grateful for the things that you don't have and the experiences you have right now, just imagine the abundance that you can get when you get some of those bigger things in life. And I think maybe that's one of the tests that we go through.
I literally told my students last night before they left, I said, there's one thing I want you to remember. And if you forget everything I've said, but I want you to remember one thing, and it's a simple equation. Gratitude must greatly exceed expectation. So everything you just said, that's the formula for massive happiness, for presence, for joy, for everything you're asking for. What's up? How you doing, Nelly? So if you really think about this, The second I have an expectation, what is that? We talked about it nonstop. It's an attachment. So I know I'm going to get that job. I know I'm going to get to go to Africa. Like, listen, here's the deal. Right in this present moment, I get to do all these things. Maybe they'll shift and I'm supposed to be somewhere else. I'm fine with that. Now,
Yeah.
my brain will do the initial, no, we got to do that every year. And then my heart will go, oh, what's coming? There's something opened up. There's something else going to space. What's coming? There's no way the universe would have taken something, not give me something better. I noticed with great consistency, when something moves out, the next thing is the next thing I needed. So if you surrender, are massively grateful, remove attachments, aka expectation, that formula is bulletproof. End of story. Like, end of story. The universe, when you connect to that love vibration, that vibration we're all trying to, that frequency, once you're connected to that, it's just a conduit to source, to give you information, to connect, to fuel you. So when I let something go or release something and that space is created, I don't run to put something else in, the universe is literally going, oh, he's ready for the next thing.
Yep.
Sit back and wait. And sometimes the next thing might be a challenge before I get the thing. So I go, oh shit. But I'm learning to go, oh yeah. And It's not oh shit anymore. It's 2 minutes of oh shit. I'm still human. And then I go, no. There's something coming. And so I know this doesn't make total sense, because so you're telling me I lost the ability to go to this great place every year, and now I'm not going. I should just sit here and say something else is coming? Yes. And that might sound batshit crazy, but I'll promise you this. Go read the story of anybody who made a massive difference on this planet, an inventor, an amazing musician, a world leader, and they were batshit crazy to everybody around them. So trust me, my batshit crazy is not batshit crazy. I'm helping you catapult to the place that the greats, and when I say the greats, I don't mean the greats like you had to make a lot of money or be famous. I mean the people who are great enough to really find out that they are part of the creation of this existence, part of the divine. The greats might be your neighbor. It might be your librarian. It might be a president. The greats are not what you think. The greats are the ones who got it. So you know the people. You meet them sometime, you're like, that person just seems to be comfortable in their skin. They seem to they're just doing something I want to do. That can be you, because it is you. And it starts with gratitude over expectation.
Love it. I mean, it's so true. I mean, I believe in that, Scott. We talk about it a lot here on the show, is like when you can sit there and have that attitude of gratitude, when you can sit there and be grateful for all the challenges that you've had in your life, because they've helped you become the person that you are now. And, you know, although it's not easy, but if we go back and we watch The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell on YouTube, then we could see a visual representation. We could be reminded of the fact that who do we root for in those particular movies when they're down? Like, oh yeah, he's going to go through all those trials and tribulations and he's going to get smart. And that's the same thing that happens for us. And so thinking about, you know, what I had posted earlier about like what the suckiest thing in life would be to show up at the end of your life and realize all the different things you could have been, the person you could have been becoming. Yeah. And so that's why Scott and I challenge you every single week. I mean, we're on episode 138. So we've been doing this show for over 2 years, I believe now. And so we brought you so much value and so much content in all these different episodes that if you went back and you picked 10 of the episodes, or if you asked us for 10 of the episodes and you applied all the strategies and everything that we talked about in there over the period of time that we've been doing this show, just imagine how much different you guys would be. And so we invite you this time in this moment to really think about the fact that 2024 is on its way. It's right around the corner. Today's December 1st as of the taping of this particular program. So you have the opportunity. We all have this opportunity to make 2024 the best year possible in our entire life. And it involves a few things. It involves sacrifice. It involves letting go and surrendering some of old beliefs and some old identities and letting people out of your life that no longer serve your greater purpose. It involves having a bigger mission in your life and deciding exactly what the end looks like in mind and working yourself backwards from that and taking that imperfect action every single day. Because when you do that and you go to sleep at night and you know that you did your best, that you know that you gave it your all, and you sit there and you realize that tomorrow is a brand new day, what is it that you can do just a little bit differently? As you compound those efforts on themselves, ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty incredible what it is that you can apply and what it is that you can achieve and create in your life. And we say this to you because you're a leader in your life, whether you don't want to believe it or not. If you're leading your kids, you're leading your spouse, you're leading your siblings, you're leading your community, you're leading your friends, whoever it might be, you're leading your cats. You guys have a responsibility. We all have a responsibility, especially if we have kids, to be the best possible leader that we can be, to say, what am I teaching my kid right now in these particular moments, whether your kid's 34 or your kid's 4? We all have that responsibility. And to have that bigger why is really critical, because when you get down and you have those moments where you want to give up and you're frustrated and you're, fuck, I'm so tired of this. You go back to that why. Like, did I really, like my tattoo says, what doesn't kill me only makes me stronger. When I look down at it, sometimes I'm like, fuck, I'm already strong enough. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I have so much capability to be even stronger that I'm going to sit there and harness this and take this as an opportunity for me to dig deeper, because when we dig deeper, we have that feeling of resiliency, like nothing can hold me back. And that's what we want for you guys who watch the show, because, you know, it's just a matter of when we get better, then we can make other people better. And that's the whole goal that Scott and I have, of course, with Go Love Now, is let's all go love now. And it starts with loving yourself first.
Yeah, right now. I agree. That's beautifully said, man. Oh, I love it. I feel like so many of us, we get detracted because we just don't believe in ourselves enough. I mean, you're right on point. Like we get out of the present moment. So to the point too, I think a lot of times the reason we're so exhausted and we say, I don't want to be any more strong, is because we haven't fueled up. And this is me speaking to myself, because years ago, where I couldn't figure out where my energy's gone, you know, I've done a bunch of things like supplementally and like food wise and sleep wise to support myself, but I still think it's mostly spiritual. I don't think I was going to that love frequency enough. I was referencing it, but I was here going all over the place, and literally source is going, here I am, your fuel source, here I am. And I'm going, no, I can't. I got to do all these things. And it's like, I'm literally offering you infinite energy to go out and share your brilliance with the world, and you keep stifling me. And so we really got to notice when we're feeling exhausted and say, I don't want to be any more strong. Part of being strong might be just dipping back into that fuel source, aka source energy, universe creator, love vibration. Once we step into that, you can take a break and you will come back organically stronger. You don't have to go lift 50 weights. You don't have to go. It's really just a simple dip into recalling your truth. And I think it's that simple, and that seems almost too easy. And I think that's why so many of us have missed it for so long, because we're out here.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I mean, you got to be aware. And I think that's one of the things that we're really trying to drive home in this particular series, is the awareness factor. Is for you guys need to be aware of what situation you're in, you know, come out of that bubble. So if you have, you know, one of the things I've been recommending to people lately is like, write down your short-term gratifications, write down what is getting in your way, write down what are the things that are distracting you. Is it TikTok? Okay, maybe I needed to remove TikTok off my phone. Oh my God, Chris, don't tell me that. Yeah, maybe remove TikTok off your phone. You know, maybe start removing some of those distractions away from you. Set yourself up for success, because obviously we don't need some of these things on our phone. And start dedicating your time, because when you think about it, everybody has 24 hours in a day. You know, why is one person more successful than the other? Because they use their 24 hours differently. And that's one thing that you guys can start doing immediately. I was talking with somebody the other day, and they were very convinced that they had no time. They were very convinced that they had no time. Within 5 minutes of talking about their day, they had plenty of time. And I was just like, that's the story you're telling yourself. Like, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. But then when you get somebody outside of that sphere of the brainwashing, you're like, well, what about this? And what about this? Do you really need to do that? How long can that take? Can you take a shower can you take a shower at night? That'll help you. Put some lavender on. That'll help you sleep. And that way you just freed up this. Oh, you just freed up 2 hours every single day. But I think people sit there and say that they're busy, and they want to say that they're busy because then they don't have time, because that's their excuse for not getting their shit done. We all have this opportunity. I mean, there's just a matter of how important it is to you. And I do this. I get distracted a ton on social media. And some days when I sit there and I just close out the thing and I focus on something, 3 hours later, I'm like, holy shit, I got so much done.
Yeah. I mean, even just things like simple overlap, like you go into the gym and people are like, well, why don't you listen to an audiobook there? Because you say you don't have time to read, or while you're driving, or there's literally so many times we can create more efficiency, but our patterns make us say, during this time, I don't have time. And you're like, that was the most inefficient thing I've ever seen. You drove the weird way home. You stopped at the store. You didn't listen to any books. You didn't do anything else. Like, you created all that. And then people are like, yeah, but what? It's we're our own worst enemies. End of story.
100%.
We have patterns. There are addictions. The minute you move away from those patterns and recreate new ones, it's like when I go to the gym, I have a thing. I'll create like 2 or 3 quick videos for social media, but I won't post them yet. I'll go do like my sets. I'll listen to like half an audiobook. I'll listen to a little music to pump me up. I'll play, like I have all these things. Like by the time I'm done, I've done so many things, but I was only there like working out for an hour, but I got all these other things and I have new knowledge. I got videos done. I post them like right in the car before I go home. They're posting by the time I get home. It's like massively efficient so that I can sit and be present when my kid comes home or whatever.
Right. It's about that intentionality. And I mean, that's one of the important things that we could tell everybody tonight is like, be intentional. Don't sit there and take everything haphazardly. Like, be super intentional, be critical, think about your needle movers, and then focus on those every single day. And then, and by taking that, you're always going to have naysayers. You're going to have people out there saying, "What are you doing? You fucking this, that, and the other thing." And then just say, "Thank you, but I'm going to continue doing this with or without you. So if you're on my team, then great. If not, then I might have to find another spot to fill your seat." And that's one of the things that Scott and I advocate for. So yeah, holy shit, dude. It's already been 55 minutes of us jibber jabbering together. I always love speaking with you and talking, and tell everybody about your program you got going on right now too.
Got my retreat and then Raise Your Vibration coaching program. We've got 6 people, 2 more probably joining. So we've got a good group in there. I can put 2 more if anybody's interested in that. It starts December 11th, and it's a little walk through the park that makes you look at yourself from 12 different angles. And if you're not a different person, the person you're supposed to be at the end, then you didn't try. And
you didn't try. You didn't do it. And they could go to scottgoyette.com for that.
Yeah.
Make sure they all, because truth be told, you and I share well, we don't share, but we use the same web guy, Mr. Ben, who doesn't watch our shows, so we could talk about him.
Does he love us?
He loves us. He loves us. So we're gonna be. What do we say? We're gonna come back on January 5th. We're gonna take a little break. We're gonna come back on January 5th.
Yeah, I don't mind doing because I'm gonna be out of town this next week, and I've got the men's retreat, and then we could do like a Christmas show. Maybe we'll do something specific for the holidays.
There you go. Cool.
Actually, you know what? Why don't we put let's see if people are interested. I think we should do something mental health oriented for the holidays, like ways to effectively manage the holidays when you're not feeling too great. Why don't we put that out right before Christmas?
Love it.
Yeah, because we all go into our, this is the family, or I don't have this certain family around, or I feel alone, or whatever. Let's have conversations around that. In fact, let's most definitely do it. And if you guys are listening right now, please share, because we'll absolutely put out some sick content, like really good content on things that you can do to more effectively manage yourself during a potentially difficult holiday season.
Absolutely. And you guys could just go to theunfilteredexperience.com, theunfilteredexperience.com. If you guys are watching this on the replay or actually the live video cast, we thank you. As always, make sure you take us with you on audio podcasts. So we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, iHeart, everywhere, Amazon Music, anywhere you get podcasts. Go in there and type in The Unfiltered Experience. You guys will see it. Take us with you, because we got tons and tons of amazing shows that will definitely help you change your perspective and along the lines of what we're talking about tonight, and really set you guys up for an amazing 2024. And that's what we really want for you guys. I mean, that's why we want you guys to join the community on Facebook. Just go again to the www.theunfilteredexperience.com. Join the Facebook community. Let us know what you want to see. Scott and I are going to be back before the end of the year, of course, and Christmas. And also we're going to come back starting January 5th. And so we're going to be bringing you brand new shows, brand new conversations. And we're thinking about just keeping it to us for a while. So maybe no guests. So maybe just me, you, Scott, and you beautiful people showing up, letting us know what you want to talk about. We can do it ahead of time and then bring you answers and value to help you guys to make sure we all have an amazing 2024. Because I know a lot of people are going to be stressed out about it with the elections going on here in the United States and whatnot. So let's all just continue to lift and raise our vibrations up to make this world a better place and contribute to that aspect of it, rather than all the fear and the media and the propaganda bullshit. Would you agree on that, Scott?
Yeah, I got so much to say on that. Let's just end the show because you actually made me want to start 5 other shows. Let's save those for dinner. like literally, as you were just saying that, like I had like 5 tangents that I was about to run down a whole. We'll just go, and all good stuff, like ways to really disconnect from the negativity. Just I'm in a deep state of practice because I've had people who challenge me, and I'm getting much better at just saying, "Go on with your bad self, bro. I'm not attached to your energy."
I just had that happen today. One of the guys, I don't think he's watching this, but one of the guys at my gym, we talked about the Trump DeSantis thing, and we immediately found out we are on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. where before everything was aligning. And we both like looked at each other and were like, I don't know if I can like you anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I know there's a lot of people I know, because we don't bring that up, but I know that we have very different viewpoints. And so I'm learning to not go there, or if it starts to come up, I'm like, I don't want to hear anything about that, because we might be in very different places, but I certainly like what we're doing right now together.
Exactly.
Get back to dinner, enjoy the bottle of wine. Let's go for a workout. Let's play some hoops.
Let's not go there.
Because first of all, the longer you know somebody and they see your principles and your values, and then when they show what they are, I say, does that person align your values? Why would you follow them indiscriminately? Now they're like, damn it, I like you a lot. You make a shitload of sense to me. You live the way I want people to live. Damn you. So the longer you stay, that's what I do. I sit here and they're like, how can you possibly? I'm like, possibly what? Not believe either side? And I sit in a space where I go issue by issue.
Exactly.
And they're like,
how about that?
And they look at me like, and I'm like, you can't do it, because you already like me, and you just got to deal with it.
And you say it with such a beautiful smile, Scott.
I'm just such a little prick. I'm still that little 12-year-old boy. I'm like, I'm going to make you like me and then make you think.
Exactly. That's what I like. Then I'm going to make you hate me.
There you go.
Just because I can.
Let's end this show and let's start up in January, but we're going to do a beautiful show on mental health. Let's make that happen, because cool. I think it's needed. We will.
All right, brother. Love and appreciate you. The Unfiltered Experience.com for you guys out there watching and listening. Thank you, Nelly, for being here. Thank you for Susan Francis being here. Susan Francis says here, Hooked on Humanity. Hi, are you part of accountability group by chance? She is not in the accountability group, but she could certainly actually be there. Susan Francis is actually going to be starting in there, but thank you guys all for being here. Thank you, Ellie Nicole, for being in the house. What's up? She says, hi, Scott and Chris. Happy holidays to you both. We appreciate you. We got Lynn Serrano in the house saying hello. What's going on? Amen, brother. She said she has shared this, so thank you very much for that. We love and appreciate you guys. Go out there, be brilliant. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night and the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you guys here next week on the Unfiltered Experience. Cheers.
Love you guys. Bye.